Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to a brand new video, and this is episode 6 of building Coruscant in Lego. Now in today's episode we're not going to be focusing on this side of the MOC, but rather this side. So this is the back side of the MOC, and these are the interiors of all the buildings, and this is going to be the main focus of today's episode. So while yes, the exteriors of these MOCs look amazing, what I really think brings these MOCs to the next level is having interiors. So every single building you see here will have pretty much some sort of interior. The first level of buildings, those are actually not really from any specific episode or movie, so those are just kind of random buildings kind of made out of my imagination. So the interiors for those will be somewhat random, kind of based on what I feel like. But the second story of buildings, those are actually all buildings that you actually see in the Star Wars universe, whether in the Clone Wars TV show or the movies or any of the other media. So those will actually have interiors specifically based on what you see in that media. It'll be really cool to kind of make those scenes. For example, here on the right, that's the Outlander Club from episode 2. So we're going to be having some nice scenes with that. We got Moshi Bar where Ahsoka and Plo Koon go to look for Aura Singh on the left. So again, we're going to have some really cool movie show specific interiors. I'm really excited to jump right into it. We're going to go ahead, get some work done, and I'll get back to you. I've gone ahead and got some more work done here on the first floor, mainly finishing the eatery on the left. But before we go ahead and jump into that, I just wanted to quickly give you a look at the bar on the right. That was again done in one of the earlier building Coruscant episodes, but I just thought I'd do a bit of a refresher on it. Quickly take a look at that, and then we'll jump into the new building. Here we have a look at the bar. Now again, I did actually quickly just furnish it with a couple figs just to make it look nice. Right in the center we have the dancer, the Twi'lek dancer. You see that in a variety of the Clone Wars bars. Got a couple booths here with some drinks. And then on the very right, you got the actual counter, the bar area. So a couple more chairs. We got a droid in the center, and then we got kind of that Star Wars style bar with those kind of fancy droid looking head pieces. You know, you see those in the Mos Eisley Cantina. So something similar in gray here. And then you got the door in the back and a nice little pattern on the floor with the light bluish gray 2x2 tiles and the dark bluish gray 1x2 tiles. And then a couple of lights. So overall it looks quite nice. Bit of a generic but still unique bar there. So now we'll go ahead and move on to the eatery. Here we have a look at the outdoor eatery. Now this actually was inspired by the Star Wars canceled video game Level 1313, and in that there was some concept art in which they actually had this really cool outdoor eatery. So that's kind of where the exterior of this was based off of. I ended up going ahead and kind of giving it a nice interior. Now again, you see these outdoor eateries quite a bit throughout the Clone Wars, and in one of the shots they actually had this right here. And so that's kind of what I based the interior off of. So you can see here, you have Anakin and Ahsoka. I believe this is a lightsaber lost episode where they walk by one of the eateries. And you can see, you know, they got some like microwave type of things. They got a kind of oven or like a stove area, some like kind of lockers or containers on the left. That's kind of what the interior was based off of. Starting off, I just gave it a simple checkerboard pattern, dark tan, dark bluish gray. I think those colors match well. Many of these, especially Lego versions of restaurants, and you see, you know, the famous checkerboard pattern. I just wanted to have something simple like that. Again, not all the buildings will have super fancy looking kind of interiors and floor patterns. So again, I think it looks good. So a simple checkerboard floor pattern. On the right, you got that stove, like you saw in the episode, and you got a couple of bowls there. I don't know if this would be one of those kind of noodle shops or soup shops or whatever, so I just got a couple bowls sitting on that stove. Then I got a couple kind of microwaves. Again, those in the show, they were in kind of this blue, like a translucent blue, but obviously Lego doesn't really have any translucent blue door pieces. Again, this was the best I could find, and I don't know, I didn't really like it too much. So I ended up just sticking with the regular dark bluish gray doors, and we got a couple spoons on the corner. And then finally, just some detailing in the back with some piping as well as some crate. I want to make it nicely detailed, but again, for example, this building, since it will have a couple minifigures inside as well, not too much. And then finally, I just want to actually, before we get on to the next segment, just want to quickly mention the second story floors. Those won't be, I don't know if I'll have interiors either. I'll actually just cover, like some of them where it's like really ugly and you can't really have interiors on the second floor. I'll just cover it up with a wall of brick. That'll add a bit more kind of support to the build as well. And then of course the areas where I do have space, it looks nice, I'll probably add like a couple smaller interiors, maybe some like small housing units or like some secret meetings, etc. So something like that will be added, but right now I'm just focusing on all the first floors of all the buildings because that's really where the main interiors are going to be. As I said in the kind of previous segment, this was supposed to be Sid's bar, but now that it's covered, I can't put anything in it. Not sure what I want to put there, but we're actually going to skip that and actually now move on to the Outlander Club on the second floor. That's a building that I really want to work on because I think it looks really cool. And also it's a classic scene. So definitely that's probably what I'm going to work on next. And I'll get back to you when I've got some progress done. And here we have the Outlander Club, and I'm so happy with how this has turned out. Again, for those of you who do not know, the Outlander Club is from episode 2, Attack of the Clones, where, Obi-Wan meets the Death Sticks guy. Here are a couple other images of just kind of what the interior looks like. So you have kind of that area with all those TVs with kind of like the pod racing and the droid football, and you got some nice like rounded tables, kind of a lot of white there. And then the second image here, we got kind of a better look at some of the interior. So again, my Outlander Club isn't 100% identical to what you see in the movie, but it's definitely heavily inspired by it. As I said, all these second floor buildings are actually buildings you see in these Star Wars movies or TV shows and will actually be based off of those. Here's the Outlander Club. Let's go ahead and go through it. Again, so they didn't really have a good shot of the club as a whole. This was, again, the best one you could get. And again, you can't really tell what that floor pattern looks like. You got the bar, which, I mean, it's also a bit tough to see that as well. So I did kind of take some liberties when designing this. Starting off here, we have a interesting floor pattern with a kind of the 2x2 tiles and then these 1x1 rounded tiles and then a couple of the 1x1 rounded studs. And again, I think that's a pretty cool floor pattern. I think it looks quite nice. Now we got, again, as you saw in the images, it was definitely a lot of white. So I got a lot of kind of white tables throughout, some kind of dark bluish gray in the center. So let's move that out of the way. I think the tables do look quite nice. This was actually inspired by another mock of, I believe, Canto Bite that I'd seen. So that's kind of where these tables came from. And then the bar area, again, more white here with kind of these curved tiles. So not too complicated, but I think it looks really nice. And then on the screen here, we do have one TV or one plate here. We're going to have another one over here. And those will be the TVs that you saw. So I'll actually have, again, custom decals like you saw on kind of the exterior. I'll be making custom Lego versions of kind of pod racing and kind of maybe a Lego version of like that droid football or something. And I'm going to be adding those there. So again, decals like that are really going to make this kind of stand out and kind of look nice. Now, as you saw, there was kind of these lights on the top, which I have not added yet. So in the future, I'll probably find a way to add some sort of lights there. And definitely for color-wise, maybe I do want to add a bit more of that kind of purple color, the neon purple that you see throughout the build. I think that would actually look nice. So I might just add, some like ceiling lights of neon purple or something. So that's kind of the plan. And again, I have staged it. It's not final. So you, of course, got Obi-Wan with the Death Sticks guy. This is not really my final. I just didn't have any pieces. But again, this is just a temporary Death Sticks guy. And Obi-Wan at the bar. You got Anakin here looking for Sam Wassell, who is in the back here. And again, Lego hasn't made a new version, so this is the old 2002 version, but I think it'll do fine. Worst case, I just add a different head, but she's kind of approaching Obi-Wan like you see in the movie. And again, the staging isn't final. Just thought I'd throw something in here. And then finally, because this is really more of an upper level and they're more, if you saw the kind of images, they're more wealthy people, a few more humans, kind of fancy clothing. So I just ended up including as many fancy folks as I could. Those colors really kind of pop out and, make them look more like wealthy folks. So that's kind of why I included those. But yeah, so there is a look at the Outlander Club. Again, it looks great. Not sure what I'll do on the second floor. But now we're going to go ahead and move on. Probably do one more interior before we end this segment off. And the last building we'll be working on in this segment is Moshi Bar. This is where Ahsoka and Plo Koon go to when trying to hunt down Aurra Sing, I believe in the season 2 finale of the Clone Wars. Now, this was actually a really exciting building to do the exterior of, just because it was such a unique building. Although again, I have a picture of the exterior on the screen. Again, if you want to see the exteriors of any of the buildings, how they were made, etc., definitely check out the previous episodes. This episode is just about the interiors. When I was actually designing it, I didn't really think about minifigure scale. I was so invested in making it as detailed and accurate as possible that if you look, it just isn't minifigure scale. Here I have my Anakin, for example, and I mean, if you place him, like, the building is huge compared to him. Like, he should be as tall as the windows, but instead, he's not even barely reaching the windows. So I really didn't think about that when I was building the front. And now I don't want to go and change it because it just looks so good from the front. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it is. However, I'm still going to do an interior. So what I've decided, I've already started here. You can see I've started by raising the floor over here by 1 brick. Then I'll have everything raised. Then actually, if you look at kind of the bar in the show, what you see is there is kind of the bar in the corner, and then you got some steps leading up to some booth area. So that will be good because the booths will be against the windows, and therefore it'll be raised by even 1 more brick when we're at the booths. So when people are sitting, they'll be probably closer to this height, which will look a bit better. Again, also when you're looking at the mock, it won't be at the same level, so you'll look at it a bit from a higher angle. Therefore, you won't really notice that it's not as much minifigure scale. So I think it will be fine. That's kind of what we're going to do. Now, the interior, again, because of the fact that I've used some wacky techniques for the door and the windows, originally I was thinking of doing kind of like a fake wall with some windows, but I think this is fine. What I'm going to actually go ahead and do is change these bars to dark bluish gray and change all of these bars to dark bluish gray. I think then it'll look fine and I won't have to add anything else. And then that'll again give me more space for the interior. Now let's go and jump into it, get some interior work done, and I'll get back to you. So I've gone ahead and done some more work, and this is what I've come up with, a bit of a kind of rough idea of this building. And the reason why we're stopping here is I'm once again out of parts, and second, I'm actually not 100% satisfied with what we have here. So I really want to get your thoughts before proceeding to kind of getting the full version of this bar complete. Here we have a look at it. I'll have a picture on the screen right over here, but this is again, in this bar, you have really kind of these type of booths right against the wall. So that's kind of what these are here. So we're going to have kind of some table chair areas here. One will kind of include the Kit Fisto species person who Ahsoka was like listening on to with regards to Aura Singh. We're going to, of course, have the bar here. This is where Plo Koon meets the bartender to kind of ask him for information. We're going to have maybe a couple more tables around here. And then we got the entrance. We're going to definitely have some decals throughout for some posters and things. And then on the wall, maybe some colorful lights on the ceiling. The bar itself is going to be dark, this kind of turquoise, azure blue. I am out of parts, so I'm going to be ordering that as well. But again, let me know what you guys think. Mainly the problem is that there's just not enough space. I don't really like the bar right next to the booth areas because in the episode, they're actually kind of one side are the booths and one side is the bar. But again, there's not really too much space to do that, so I kind of had them side by side. Let me know what you guys thought about that. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and end the segment off. And that's going to do it for episode 6 of Building Coruscant in Lego. So overall, not too bad. A good amount of progress done. We ended up getting these 3 buildings pretty much complete. And then we started work on the 4th one. Again, I have a lot more buildings, especially the second floors, and most of these still left to do. But we're actually now going to once again take a break from the interior and work on the exterior buildings starting in episode 7. So next episode, we're going to be going ahead and working on the droid spa. We're going to be going ahead and working on the clone bar, and maybe even a bit on a Dexter's Diner, and then definitely finishing that train station. A lot of fun stuff. I know that this episode of the previous one had a 1 month plus gap between them, but that will not happen from now on since I want to get this mock done by the end of September, so I can pretty much guarantee that we're going to be having episodes come out every other week, either Friday or Saturday. That is a guarantee until the end of September when this mock is complete. So really, really excited. Definitely let me know what you guys thought about the progress, all the interiors we've done so far, and stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. Also in the next episode, a potential series sponsor, so we'll also talk about that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, the thumbs up would be great. And don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. And I'll see you all next time.